Good morning, students. Today we are going to start a new chapter of political science for class 11th. This is your fourth chapter in your book Executive. In your previous terms, you have studied that there are three parts of government. One is legislature, second is executive, and third is judiciary. Now, in brief, you have studied about it, but today, now we discuss about executive in details. You know, executive is the part of government that execute the rules. Here we will take it with an example. Like in your school, the school is run by a management. Now, what is management? If you see this example, management is a type of legislature who forms a rule for the school. Then principal and some of the teachers who help her or him in running the school. That is the executive. The function just resembles with Prime Minister and his or her ministers. So, now I think it is very clear to you what is executive. If we try to define the executive that is an part of organ of the government that execute rules made by legislature. But what are types of executive? There are various types of executive in the world, because every country may not have the same type of executive. You may have heard about the President of the US or the Queen of England, but the powers and functions of the President of the US are very different from the powers of the President of India or the Queen of England. Or you can say the King of Bhutan. Now, India and France, they have prime ministers, but their roles are different from each other. In India, we have parliamentary type of government. If you see or study carefully, the US has a presidential system and executive power are in hands of the president, because there is no prime minister in US. While Canada has a parliamentary democracy with a constitutional monarchy where Queen Elizabeth is the formal chief of state and the prime minister is the head of the government. Now, can you tell me the name of the prime minister of Canada? Just try to find out it. In France, the president and prime minister both are a part of the system. The president appoints the prime minister as well as ministers, but cannot dismiss them as they are responsible to the parliament. In Japan, there is a parliamentary system where the emperor is the head of the state and the prime minister as the head of the government. Now, try to find out the name of the Prime Minister of Japan. Now we take example of Russia. Russia also has a semi-presidential system where president is the head of the state and the prime minister, who is appointed by the president, is the head of government. One more example, that is Germany. Germany has a parliamentary system in which president is the ceremonial head of the state and the chancellor is the head of government. In a presidential type of system, the president is the head of state as well as head of the government, like in US. In US, Mr. Donald Trump, he is the president of the state and he is head of the government also. And all the ministers who are known as secretary in US, they are appointed by the president of the US. In this system, the office of president is very powerful in theory and practice both. There is a saying about the president of US regarding his power that he is a giant but his feet are in the swamp. Means he is very powerful. If we take example of Brazil and other Latin American countries, we will be able to understand it. Now, if you see this diagram, the types of executive, the first is system based on the principle of collective leadership. In collective leadership, there are two types of executive, parliamentary and the semi-presidential system. While system based on individual leadership, where the president has the whole power, that is the presidential type of executive. But in parliamentary system, there are two other types. One is monarchy and another is presidential. In monarchy, constitution monarchy is found like it is found in Britain and Bhutan also. In president, where the president is the head of government, head of state, that is parliamentary type of government, and this is known as parliamentary republic. In both constitutional monarchy and parliamentary system, executive is ceremonial. Now we come to presidential type of government. Like we studied in US, this presidential type of government is found and president is the head of state as well as he is the head of government also. President is directly elected by the people. The people in US vote for the president in this way. The president is appointed and this president appoint the ministers. Earlier told you they are known as secretary. Like we call in India Home Minister, in US we call them Secretary of State. So in this way, the ministers or secretaries are appointed by the president, and it is not for them that they should be member of the legislature also, like in India. In India, we see that ministers are member of parliament also, but in presidential type of government, it is not so. Second is semi-presidential type of government. Like this system is found in Sri Lanka, where the president is the head of state and prime minister runs the government. In 1978, the constitution of Sri Lanka was amended and the system of executive presidency was introduced there. Under this system, executive presidency, people directly elect the president. It may happen that both the president and prime minister belong to same political party, or they may belong to different political parties, because the prime minister can be from the same party or the another party. The president has vast power under the constitution. The president chooses the prime minister from the party that has a majority in the parliament. It means the party that gets majority in the house after election, then the president elects or selects the leader of that party and the president appoints him or her the head of the government. So in this way, the president has the power to remove the prime minister or the ministers. Apart from being the elected head of the state and commander-in-chief of the armed forces, the president is also the head of the government also. In Sri Lanka, the president or the prime minister government, they are elected for 6 years. The tenure of them is different in different countries. Now we come to parliamentary form of government. What is parliamentary government? In parliamentary system, the prime minister is the head of government, and most parliamentary systems have a president or a monarch who is the nominal head of the state. Like in India. In India, president is the nominate head of the state. In same way, you can say that the Queen in Britain is the ceremonial head of the state. But the real powers are in hand of the prime minister, because he is the head of government. Now countries with such system include Germany, Italy, Japan, United Kingdom, as well as Portugal also. While in a semi-presidential system has both a president and a prime minister, but unlike the parliamentary system, the president may possess significant day-to-day powers. In this system, it is possible that sometime the president and the prime minister may belong to same party, and at times they may belong to different political parties and thus would be opposed to each other. Countries with such a system include France, Russia, and Sri Lanka. In India, we have parliamentary executive in India. We will take this topic later, but here we compare the presidential and parliamentary type of government. I think earlier it is very clear to you about the presidential and parliamentary government. In presidential government, president is the head of the state as well as of the government. In parliamentary system, president is the nominated head and the prime minister is real head of the government. In presidential system, the election of president take place directly, while in parliamentary system, the prime minister is elected by the members of the legislature. in presidential system, the ministers are not member of the legislature, while in parliamentary system it is necessary that the ministers should be members of the parliament. Suppose if a person who is not a member of parliament, still government wants to appoint him as the minister, it can be done, but only for a specific period. In India, this period is 6 months. Within these 6 months, the minister must be a member of the parliament. Otherwise, he will have to resign from the post of minister. So I think this is very clear to you. Now just take a revision, and then you have to make notes on presidential type of government, semi-presidential type of government, and the parliamentary type of government. And I hope now it is very clear, and next lecture we will discuss about the parliamentary executive in India. Thank you. Stay safe, stay at home. Thank you.